Good morning, students. We were at the final movement of this short story, that is the lighthouse keeper of Aspinwall, where we have seen it is the story of a man who has endurance power, perseverance, dedication, and a man who is looking for peace, who is looking for a mental peace, and who is looking for a permanent place as such, because he is a man who is a wanderer, who is an immigrant, who has no land to claim as such. And even if he has tried all the occupations, different occupation, he got failed in that. And in spite of having all the disappointments, his courage was so powerful that he did not bend to any misfortune as such. Okay, so this is all about we have seen until now. Okay, so we are the final we are at the peak of the short story, and as I mentioned that this short story has divided into different chapters, and in our syllabus we have only one chapter of this short story. While as I mentioned that this is a prototype. A prototype is a person is undergoing through a transition period as such, because when you call a prototype protagonist, what happens is that you will find him as a flat character person. Okay, because no, you will find him as a round character, because at the first moment he will be a person completely different. Okay, but when he will certain incident, or when he will read some books, he will transform into a different person as such. Okay, so that transformation has been depicted throughout these different chapters, but in our syllabus we have only first chapter, and that first chapter deals with the person. And in first chapter the background has been created. Okay, the only one character has been described in this first chapter, that is Skivensky. Okay, and his wanderings, his different occupations. But even in spite of that, having all the difficulties, even if all the things were going on in a negative way, but still he has come out of the hero. Okay, and how he overcome all the battles in his life, and how he conquered everything, and how his values were so powerful. And even if he has nothing to lose, but and how his fearless attitude has made him a different person. That is all about the story. Okay, so now today we are at the final stage, and yesterday we have seen that he has tried a different occupations, but in every occupation he got failed. Okay, but what was the best thing that has happened with him is that he had got a good man over bad. Okay, so this is we had seen yesterday. Now there had been in him also this wonderful quality, that after so many disappointments he was ever full of confidence. This was the quality prevalent in him, is that even if all the disappointments and all the things were in a very deliberately for him, but still he was a man who has a fortitude, who has courage, who has perseverance, who has patience, and how he overcome through all the difficulties we have seen. Because confidence is something very essential, and did not lose hope that all would be well yet. Okay, so if you have hope, so even if the things are very adverse in your life, but if you have power to and if you have self confidence on yourself, this is something that you will come out of all these difficulties. And if you surrender to these difficulties, if you surrender yourself, then this is something that will be like, you can spoil your life at that moment only. So this is very important. And in winter he grew lively and predicted a great events. He waited for these events with impatience and lived with the thought of them whole summers. But the winter passed on one after another, and Skivensky lived only to this, that they whitened his head. At last he grew old and began to lose energy. Because see, this is something very important, that the time is very important. When you are at the right time, you should utilize your energy, because when the physical endurance power, okay, when you become old, and the nature is like it is something that you cannot control, okay. So even if today you have energy, you should utilize it for a productive task, because when you become old, even if you have a desire, you cannot do anything, because this is something very important, to live your present fully, okay. Because what we are doing is that we are finding a meaning in everything, okay. We are creating a definition of success. We are thinking that if I'll get this, I'll be very happy. But again, the definition of success changes the person to person, okay. So you should not be a strive for only the tomorrow, okay. You should use your present, okay, and whatever energy you have right now, you should utilize it rather than waiting for it, because this is something very important. Because when you become old, the physical endurance will be, there will be obvious that there will be no physical endurance, and it will be descended day by day. So that has been that he waited for these events with impatience, and but the even if the physical endurance power is not there with him, what is with him is that desire to work, okay, desire to do something. So this is something very important, intense desire, okay. You must have been watching KBC, okay, where you find a good quality in Amitabh Bachchan, that even if he has at the retirement stage, but still he is working, okay. And here what we see about Skivensky is that he has compared himself with the boat, okay. And what does he say about that boat is that I am like a ship which if it misses the harbor will be lost, okay. So if I am not working, if I am not doing anything, then I will feel that I am nowhere in the world, okay. I will be lost, I am a dead person, okay. So that should be attitude. Even if at the retirement stage, the people, those who have desire, they are working, okay. So desire, the interest should be there, okay. And this is something makes you unique, and this is something will make you different than other person, okay. This is very important, because say once you think about rest, all the energies that you have gathered, that will be going to a very that has no value as such. Because when you are using your passive energy into active energy, then you can make the productive work as such. This is something you can take out from this short story. Because what we think, we just think about the different actions, but nobody thinks about the action as such. How can we implement it, okay. Because planning and implementation, both thing is essential. Consistency is essential, that has been described in this short story, okay. So even if you have the desire to do something, okay, for example, even if you want to do lots of career along with the 1 degree, okay, but if your age is not there, then you cannot do it. But this is the time you should utilize it, grab the different opportunities, and you should be ready, okay. This is something very essential in this particular short story, okay. So yeah, in winter he grew lively and predicted great events. He waited for these events with the impatience and lived with the thought of them whole summer. But the winter passed one after another, and Skivensky lived only to this, that they whitened his head, okay. So the hairs that are whitened, okay, the hairs are becoming gray. So this is a natural thing that will happen, because you cannot control the nature. Nature is almighty, so powerful. So you will have to survive with him, with it. Okay, you cannot go against it. Okay, so within that limitation, you will have to find your goal as such. Okay, so this is something very important. And Skivensky lived only to this, that they whitened his head. At last he grew old and began to lose energy. Okay, and his endurance was becoming more and more like resignation, because right now his endurance power is becoming he has so many things to do. Okay, but due to his endurance power, physical power, so even if his willingness is there, but if your body is something that not helping you, then what can you do? So therefore we say, no, health is wealth. So you should look out to your personal health as well as your professional health as such. Okay, this is also you will have to take a look it out. Okay, so his endurance was becoming more and more like resignation. His former calmness was tending toward a super sensitiveness. So until now we have seen a man of courage. Okay, a man of fortitude, a man of a person who is not losing a single tear. Okay, single tears as such, because he was a person who is not ready to bend out in front of any misfortune as such. But right now, whatever the good qualities that he had, it has turned down into a super sensitiveness. And what does it mean? Super sensitiveness means, even if any good thing is happening, you will look into a bad, you will become emotional and you try to shed your tears. This is something. And that tempered soldier was degenerating into a man ready to shed tears for any cause. Okay, so once you become that, you will find everything that this is something that even if the simple work is there, you will find difficulties. The complaining attitude will be there. Okay, so yeah, so if your health is not there, so obviously it will happen that you will try to escape from everything. So besides this, from time to time he was weighed down by a terrible homesickness as well, because until now we have seen that even if he has no land to claim as such, even he has a person, a dispossessed person, but right now he is longing for his own homeland. Okay, because until now he was a wanderer. Okay, but right now he is thinking about a rest as such, he is thinking about home as such. When homesickness is there, then you try to become try to avoid everything and you try to go at one place. You want mental peace, you try to become emotional. Okay, and when emotions comes in, then you become very sensitive, and when you become very sensitive, you are opposite of courage, fortitude, fearless attitude, because these things will make you very weak in your life. Okay, this is something very important. When you say no for if you want to achieve anything in your life, so this is something, the place that where you should have to aloof from your family. Okay, and that's why we are staying at hostels. Okay, the person those who are preparing, even though they have a nice family at home, but they try to escape from that world and they try to settle at that place where they can utilize their energy, because there is less emotions. If you can detach from that relatives and all, you can concentrate more. This is something you can take out from this short story, because see, reading between the line is essential. Telling a short story is like here you can summarize it within 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay, but what is important is the reading between the line. When writer writes one line, one sentence, it has different multiple interpretation as such. Okay, so finding a right interpretation and finding out the gist of that interpretation is essential to when you read a short story as such. Okay, this attitude you should build up. Okay, So besides this, from time to time he has weighed down by a terrible homesickness which was roused by any circumstance. The sight of swallows, grey birds like sparrows, snow on the mountains, or melancholy music like that heard on a time. Because it has become a melancholy for him right now. Even music, no? Music is like giving a refreshment. Okay, music is something very important in your life. It refreshes you. Okay, it gives you positive vibes, but for him it is become a melancholy sadness. Okay, this is something like that heard on a time. Finally there was one idea which mastered him, the idea of rest. Okay, so this is something very important. When idea of rest is prevalent in you, okay, the idea of homesickness is prevalent in you, you try to escape from all the world. Okay, you try to become a aloof from that world. Okay, because rest is like lethargic stage, no, when you call it, it is something very powerful. Okay, and it will make you very passive. Okay, and if you are not working, if you are not utilizing your energy, and that means that the idea of rest is so prevalent. Okay, the idea of relaxation is so prevalent with that work that has dominated every other thoughts. Okay, this is that because now he is longing for homesickness. Now he is longing for rest, even though he was a wanderer, even though he was a fighter, even though he was not bending to any misfortune, but this was the time where he was looking for a rest. And that one single idea was breaking all the creative ideas as such. Okay, so as I mentioned that the initial stage he was a man of fortitude, man of courage, man having patience, perseverance, but right now he is losing, he has become a super sensitive. Okay, he is losing tears for a very single reason. Okay, he is thinking all thing that because the what is important is that the idea of rest. Okay, and that idea of rest is that has dominated all other ideas. Okay, and it mastered the old man thoroughly and swallowed all other desires and hopes. Okay, because when idea of rest is prevalent, the desires, hopes, ambition, it becomes degenerated, it becomes it becomes descended in your life. This is very important to that you should not look for, you should not long for rest for too many days. Okay, because when you work you can utilize the time where you can develop yourself, but idea of rest will have very negative impact on your career, on your overall development as such. This ceaseless wanderer could not imagine anything more to long for, anything more precious than a quiet corner in which to rest. Okay, so now he is looking for a quiet corner where he can rest, where he can contemplate, where he can have a good home, family. Okay, and wait in silence for the end. Okay, so it has become like this is something you will find a very contradictory sentence for a man who is a man of principle. Okay, but now it has become very contradictory. Okay, and what made him to feel like this, we'll see. Than a quiet corner in which to rest and wait in a silence for the end. So he is like looking for an end now. Okay, now he is like he does not want to fight. He is becoming so passive. Okay, so perhaps especially because some of whim of fate had so hurried him over all seas and lands that he could hardly catch his breath. Did he imagine that the highest human happiness was simply not to wander, It is true that such modest happiness was his due, but he was so accustomed to disappointments that he thought of rest as a people in general think of something which is beyond reach. So until now he was a man of wanderer. He was man who was struggling for his survivalance. But right now, what made him to think like this, that he is sitting at one corner and now he is thinking about a rest, and he is feeling that rest, okay? And now he is thinking that the rest is so important in your life, okay? Because now he is thinking that, because now he is experiencing it, the rest, okay? Because until now he was like, he thought of rest as something that is cannot be somebody's reach, okay? Because right now he is thinking that a rest is something that is not something for me, okay? Because he was a man who had struggled a lot in life, okay? He had not got a single day free in his life, and he thought that this is the life, we'll have to work for it, okay? We'll have to fight for our survivalance, okay? But right now he is thinking that the rest is the another the pleasure of life, okay? And when you indulge in pleasure, you become, yeah. So this is also that the thing that is the realization of rest, and due to that realization all other positive things is hidden now, and it has been descended, okay? So it is true that such modest happiness as was his due, but he was so accustomed to disappointment that he thought of rest as a people in general think of something which is beyond reach. He did not dare to hope for it. Meanwhile, unexpectedly, in the course of 12 hours, he had gained a position which was as if chosen for him out of the world. Okay? Because see, had it been not the person who would have strived for this job, he wouldn't have realized the rest at all. Okay? Because until now he was a man who is looking for a job, different occupations, and he had thought that this is the life. Okay? Had he been not selected for this particular place, he wouldn't have realized that the rest is something very important and it gives a true pleasure in life. Okay, so this is the time where he is realizing that yeah, this is the period where we should look for home as well, and that's why the idea of homesickness, longing for a home, is something that is that has been highlighted. Okay, because until now he is thinking, he was thinking that yeah, this is something that is not my cup of tea as such. Okay, because rest I am not made for it. Okay, because yeah, that was the situation. Okay, so and that's why we say that this is the job where he got realization about this particular part of life, and that's why we say that this had gained a position which was as if chosen for him out of the world. We are not to wonder then that when he lighted his lantern in the evening, he became as it were dazed, that he asked himself if that was reality, and he did not dare to answer that it was. But at the same time, reality convinced him with an incontrovertible proof. Hence, hours one after another passed while he was on the balcony. He gazed towards this lantern and convinced himself it might seem that he was looking at a sea for the first time in his life. Because when self-realization is there, now his eyes know that are completely different. Okay, because see, when you are a person right now, okay, you are a different person. When you read this short story and when you analyze it, your interpretation of life will be different. Okay, that realization, when you read any very emotional or sensitive story, inspirational story, and if you were completely into it, then after reading that short story or that particular novel, you will be completely a different, or that incident will make you a completely different person. That's why I told you that prototype, this is a man of prototype. Okay, so when you want to achieve something, no, you should have to look towards that particular part of literature where you can take some inspiration, because without inspiration there is no success. And motivation is something will make you strive for it. Okay, from where you can get it, these sources are available. Okay, so this is the self realization, no. So now, until now, he was looking towards that sea. He was thinking that this is in general. Okay, there was not that realization as such, but now he is looking towards a peace, a mental peace where you can relax towards sea. Okay, and yeah, so that realization, that transformation has been done. Okay, so yeah, so now he gazed and convinced himself. It might seem that he was looking at the sea for the first time in his life. This is very important. Okay, the lens of the lantern cast into the darkness enormous triangle of light, beyond which the eye of the old man was lost in a black distance, completely in the distance, mysterious and awful. But that distance seemed to run toward the light. The long waves following one another rolled out from the darkness and went billowing toward the base of the island, and then their foaming backs were visible, shining rose colored in the light of the lantern. The incoming tide swelled more and more and covered the sandy bars. The mysterious speech of the ocean came with a fullness more powerful and louder, at one time like the thunder of cannon, at another like the roar of great forest, at another like the distant dull sound of the voices of the people. At moments it was a quiet. Then to ears of the old man came some great sigh, then kind of sobbing, and again threatening the outburst. At last the wind bore away the haze, but broad black clouds which hid the moon from the west. It began to blow more and more. The waves sprang with the rage against the rock of the lighthouse, linking with the foam of foundation walls. In the distance, a storm was beginning to billow. On dark, disturbed expanse, certain green lanterns gleamed from the mast of ships. These green points rose high and then sank. Now they swayed to the right and now to the left. Skivensky descended to his room. The storm began to howl. Outside, people on those ships were struggling with the night, with darkness and waves, but inside the tower it was a calm and still. Even the sounds of the storm hardly came through the thick walls, and only the measured tick-tack of the clock lulled the weird old man to his slumber. Okay, so this was the completely transformation of the life. Now he was looking towards every events with a different realization as such. Okay, now, because until now he was a man ignorant completely, he was doing all mechanical things, but when he realized a certain other aspect of the life, now he is looking towards in a different perspective as such. Okay, because that realization, that transformation. But this is the first chapter of the short story where we have seen the heroic qualities of this person. Okay, but as far as the transformation is concerned, you will have to see the second chapter and third chapter. Okay, but as far as our syllabus is concerned, even if you understand that this is a story of a man who has patience, perseverance, fortitude, and he is not bending towards any misfortune. So even if all the disappointment that happened with him, he was not surrendered to any disappointment as such. And until now, we have seen that this is the man where if your strong will is there, when you have strong determination, you can fight with the life. Okay, so thank you. Now officially we have done with this short story. Okay, thanks.